Sign up today for a 7-day free trial at alerts.chartguys.com. Hey everyone, checking in on the cryptocurrency space. There's a very notable lull going on both on crypto Twitter, and we can see it in our video views and all of that. So clearly a very significant slowdown in the space, and almost as slow, if not slower, than where we were back trading at 3,000 right before the big bull move occurred. Do I think that means a big bull move is going to occur? No, not necessarily. But we know that things do spring out of nowhere as far as a significant spike in volatility once things do get very slow. So the space is slow right now. Interest is very low. Volatility brings a lot of interest. It all makes sense. I mean, I haven't even thought in the slightest of putting a trade on in cryptocurrency in about a week and a half at this point, keeping in mind that I am only looking bullish, still trading on Coinbase at this point, but it's just very notable that there is a lack of interest, and it's almost a good thing. I mean, the last thing we want to be doing is over trading in a market that is not giving us a ton of opportunity. So we'll just patiently wait and continue putting out content until the volatility and volume and opportunity returns, and that will probably happen when our monthly higher low is set. So Bitcoin bulls are still not proving anything, and they have yet to prove one thing in the last 9 trading days after this big red day after the temporary top was set. It's just been sideways, leg down, sideways, and nothing really going on whatsoever. So we're going to be watching the low of 78.14, the low of 7,700. Those are the two key support levels. And for the bulls to do even anything to get our attention, the 12-hour time frame needs to see a trend change. Right now we have a little double top, 81.24, 8100. Those two levels are resistance. Even if we break those levels, it's not a trend change in my opinion. We would just be looking at a break of resistance, and we would still need follow through from the bulls. But again, as long as we're within this range, and I said this a while ago and I'm sticking to it, as long as we're within the range of 7,700 and 88.26, I have no interest in trading the cryptocurrency space right now. There are other individual names that do have more trading opportunity than Bitcoin currently does, but not enough to keep me interested. So ETH, same thing with the lower high and lower low. We have 167.50 support, 152.11. We're going to be looking at a bunch of coins here, not just the usual ones, as I did take a handful of member requests as well. Some charts are standing out to me as similar to others. And just an example, looking at ETH USD, I pull up EOS, and it's similar in that regard. The similarity is that we have the daily lower high and lower low, but as far as the weekly time frame goes, just like Ethereum, we could pull back and hold a weekly higher low, even if Bitcoin breaks bearish. So again, for Ethereum, if we were going to drop down to a weekly lower low, it's another 12% to the downside, whereas Bitcoin, where we stand right now, only needs about, less than 3%. So if we see a scenario where Bitcoin breaks bearish and the bears don't get a ton of follow through under 7,700, we will look for these altcoins to hold their weekly support level, at least initially. So Ethereum, a couple more support levels, more space to work with. Anything on the daily time frame under 188.58 is just a daily lower high, keeping the bears in control. ETH BTC, we're continuing to watch this chart, which is tightening up, and we're looking for a break within the next 2 days, I should say. Not a break, but either a break or a higher low. So high, low, lower high, and here we are testing support. So we're either going to, in the next 2 days, we're either going to see a convincing hold of 21.35 and remain in this equilibrium into later next week, or we're going to lose 21.35 support and be in a daily downtrend at that point, and that's a scenario where we would then start weekly consolidation, keeping in mind that this move has gone straight from the weekly low to where we stand right now with no weekly consolidation or trend changes on the way. If we're going to see the Ethereum bulls make a move here, we're going to have to see a clear weekly trend change into the new year on this weekly time frame. Litecoin continues to remain weak. Again, look how tight we are here. 3 daily inside bars in a row. You don't see that very often. We did see it. We only saw 2 inside bars fairly recently. Again, anything under 57.82 is just a daily lower high, keeping the bears in full control. Looking down at support, it's 51.13, 50.25. If those levels break, the weekly bear flag is confirmed. We do not have as much space to work with on Litecoin as we do on Ethereum, so I anticipate that if Bitcoin breaks 7,700, Litecoin is very likely to break 50.25 as for now. LTC, BTC, also some inside bars. Anything under 6881 is a daily lower high, and the bulls are trying for an inverse 4-hour, or I should say an inverse daily head and shoulders pattern, where we have our left shoulder, our head. If we pull back here and form a higher low and then break those resistances, our weekly higher low will be set. Keeping in mind that the weekly time frame here has not changed the trend either, just like Ethereum has not, but it's trying to form a higher low compared to 60.97. So if we hold 60.97 and break 78.75, we will have a weekly trend change. Long way to go for the bulls. XRP USD, this is on Coinbase, still holding the uptrend, although it's getting a little bit more toppy. We have multiple daily inside bars in a row, and if we see a bear break and lose 2783 as support, we will have lost the daily uptrend, which means our weekly lower high will be set at that point. We've got our weekly high, low, and we're scouting to see, are we going to form a weekly lower high? I've been anticipating for over a week at this point that that's the most likely scenario, but I'm not going to be confident in that unless we lose the daily uptrend. So bears do still have some proving to do after we have held the last couple tests of these exponential supports to keep the uptrend intact. BNB USD also sideways trading, multiple inside bars. If we drop down and break 1736 support, we will lose the daily uptrend. If we hold it, the daily uptrend is intact. If we break that support, we zoom out to the weekly chart and we say, all right, our weekly lower high has been set, and we now have to pull back and form a higher low from there. ZRX USD, we have that 12-hour equilibrium that we've been watching. Anticipated that this would be the most likely scenario, and it is now playing out, which is always nice. High, low, lower high, higher low, and we're watching for a lower high compared to 3288 if we are going to stay in this tightening range into the end of the weekend, which I would anticipate is likely. Volume is dropping off, as is the norm for these equilibrium patterns, and patiently waiting for a break. ZRX BTC is similar. Let's pull up that 12-hour time frame and compare. Exponential support here. Do we have exponential support on the USD? We are grinding along. So it's pretty much the same chart. And we are going to assume they're going to break in the same direction. Higher low, 3686, and watching resistance of 4079. So pretty much same chart, and they will likely break in the same direction. Best case scenario for bulls obviously would be a bull break on both the US dollar as well as the BTC pairing, but I don't expect that to happen. We could easily see another 3 or 4 candlesticks, which is another 2 days within this pattern. BAT/USDT on Binance. This is another one where we have a tightening range on the daily chart, but there's more range than just the sideways inside bars that we've been looking at. So again, the 12-hour time frame for clarity, yet another 12-hour equilibrium. And I lined it up here because it is so similar to what ZRX is doing. And we're just scouting a higher low compared to 1986. There is no sign of that higher low forming yet, but the closer we get, the better the bottom fishing opportunity to look for that higher low to form, and then we would look for a bounce back up towards the 22-cent level. But this pattern, because there is more space in this equilibrium, we can trade within this for an extra few days. Whereas, I could say we could easily stay in this pattern for another 4 days if we do form a higher low. And ZRX is too tight that 4 days remaining in this pattern would be a lot less likely. Link USDT. So we're trying to change the 12-hour trend here, where we have our low, the high of the bounce, which is just another lower high at this point, keeping the bears in control. And now the bulls have to hold 218 and break 250 to change the 12-hour trend. You can see ever since our top, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, have to change that trend, in which case we would zoom out and we would watch for, I would then be looking for trying to find the most clear time frame, probably pull up the 2-day chart and then be looking for a 2-day lower high to form if the 12-hour trend can change. 2-day lower high compared to 295. Matic. So MITC, BTC, I put it here next to Link because these charts are so similar. So here's Link on the 12-hour. Here's Matic BTC on the 12-hour. We have our low, high of the bounce, trying to hold 162 and break 182 to change the 12-hour trend. High, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, trying to change that trend. If we pull that off with a trend change, 2-day time frame, we'll look for a lower high to form. So I like the setup for those two as far as time frames, looking for clarity. And again, it's important to scan through these time frames to find that clarity. As you can tell, I haven't pulled up the 2-day chart for anybody else because I haven't needed to, because all these other names have been more clear to me on other time frames. But I could be writing, I mean, it's hard to keep track of all of this if I'm trading all these altcoins. So having a piece of paper next to your computer and writing down the time frames where there is the most clarity can really help you stay organized. XMR USDT. Daily trend change is needed here. We had a nice bounce, but that's not enough. We have our low, high of the bull move up to 60.61. Bulls must hold 51.64 and break 60.61 to change the daily trend. If we do, we zoom out to the weekly and we look for a weekly lower high compared to 82.18. We have been in one long drawn out weekly downtrend at this point, and this bounce is certainly not convincing. It could absolutely be a weekly bear flag at this point, up to the bulls to prove to us it's not a weekly bear flag with a daily trend change and follow through. And a tough road ahead for those bulls. They have their work cut out for them. And last, we'll wrap it up with EOS USDT. So the daily time frame here is very similar to ETH, as I pointed out. So we have lost the daily uptrend. We're now in a daily downtrend with a lower high and lower low. Anything under 320 is a daily lower high. Daily inside bar is currently forming right now. Bears are waiting for a daily lower high to be looking for an entry. And if we see a bull break of this daily inside bar, that's what we're going to be scouting, 320 resistance. And as far as the weekly chart goes, again, the percentage space that we have to work with, it is possible to hold the weekly support 15, 16% away, even if Bitcoin does drop to a lower low, as long as Bitcoin doesn't collapse under 7,700. You know, we could drop down from 77 down to 73, and ETH and EOS and names that have more weekly space to work with could potentially hold their lows. But again, the bottom line is the vast majority of the names that we just looked at, the bears had control of the weekly, the daily, the 12-hour time frames. And as long as that is the case, we're not going to be trying to fight those trends. The bears are extremely comfortable in their positions. Congrats to the bears that have been seeing some slow and steady gains over the past week plus. And otherwise, we're going to be patiently waiting for, at a bare minimum, names that are looking for monthly higher lows to form. And there's a lot of names that are in that category, like Bitcoin, of course. We have to see a daily trend change to the bulls at a bare minimum. And if we want to be more conservative and more patient, we're waiting for a weekly trend change to give us an indication that the monthly higher low has been set. And if we just look at Bitcoin, what's an example of what would be required for a weekly trend change? We're not even close. We would have to make a more significant bounce on the weekly time frame with a lower high compared to 10,900. And we would have to see, essentially, if we're going to see a weekly trend change anytime soon, we'd need the bulls to get up over 9,000, pull back, hold the low, and then change the trend. And of course, if we break 7,700, we're back to square one with another lower high, lower low, and we will then be waiting patiently, even more patiently, for a weekly trend change to try and develop. We've been in a weekly downtrend at this point. Well, it's only been confirmed a month ago with that big bear candlestick, but the weekly lower highs have been in play at this point for the last 3 to 4 months. So that's why the Twitter space and the analytics of views and all that have been dropping, because there's more bulls out there in the crypto space than bears, obviously. The bears have had some trading opportunity. Even then, the bears don't have a ton of trading opportunity. You also have the fact that we have these exchanges now, or I should say the brokers with stocks having no fees. And you better believe that that's drawing some attention, and for good reason. These fees are outrageous on these exchanges for trading cryptocurrency. Again, I've given plenty of examples where comparing the amount of fees that I pay, even when we were trading with fees in stocks, which is no longer the case, I was racking up insane amounts of fees trading cryptocurrency, even when stocks had fees themselves. So bottom line is, we'll still be doing videos, perhaps a bit more sparsely until things pick up again, but we're going to be watching because there will be opportunity. We will look for monthly higher lows, and we do know that the cryptocurrency space is going to see big time spikes in volatility periodically for the next however many years, and it's just a matter of, as a trader, recognizing tightening ranges with a lack of opportunity, going to find opportunity elsewhere, and then of course coming back when that opportunity does resume. So again, that video that I've been recently mentioning about switching from trading crypto to stocks, or at least having the information to make that change. I do plan on still doing that. Got a bunch of life stuff over the last couple of weekends, so ideally the goal will be to put that out before the end of the month, and I'll certainly let you all know when that is the case. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll see you soon. Make sure and do good things out there these holiday seasons. It's getting cold. Again, always one of my favorite ones is just having a jacket or a blanket in the back of your car. You never know when you're going to come across somebody who could use it, or even a winter hat like this. I've certainly come across people that could use hats before. See you soon.